welcome here. On this channel you can find a lot of helpful information for expat parents, especially expat mothers living in Germany, just like me. And on today's video we are going to talk about the Elterngeld, the parental allowance in Germany, and the 3 biggest myths. I would like to stress that on this video I'm going to talk about the Elterngeld in Germany, the parental allowance in Germany, and not the Mutterschaftsgeld, the maternity pay in Germany. Those are totally different things. And if you want to know more about the Mutterschaftsgeld, maternity pay, maternity leave, please check this video here. And if you want to have an overview what is the Elterngeld and how it works, please check this other video here, both on the cards here up. Elterngeld in Germany, parental allowance in Germany, it's a great benefit, especially compared to many other countries. However, it could be a pain in the neck to understand, decide and fill out everything. And on top of that, there are many myths related to Elterngeld in Germany. And on today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 of them. And the first myth is that you need to live in Germany to receive Elterngeld. You need to be a tax resident in Germany to receive Elterngeld. But you don't need to be physically in Germany. You can even give birth outside of the country, but to still be a tax resident here, to pay your taxes here before you become a mother or a father. You can also spend the time during Elternzeit, or the time you're receiving Elterngeld, outside of Germany and still receive it if your tax residence is still in Germany. Many parents use the Elternzeit and the time receiving Elterngeld to spend time with their families outside of Germany. Or just to travel around. And actually, we got to do it. We spent 2 long periods of time in my home country, which is Portugal. The first time we were there for 3 months, the second time for almost 6 months, and it was amazing to be able to spend this time with my family or our family and friends. There's a special case for cross-border commuters within the European Union, including Iceland, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland. And in these cases, if you work in one country but live in the other country, you will primarily receive Elterngeld, parental allowance, from the country where you work. But if there is a difference in the amount of Elterngeld that you would receive from the second country, then you receive that difference from the second country. But if both parents work in different countries, then you will receive parental allowance, Elterngeld, from the country in which the child lives. This weather is making me crazy because the light is changing all the time, and sometimes I will be darker, sometimes I will be lighter. You can also receive parental allowance from Germany, Elterngeld from Germany, if you have an employment relationship in Germany and thus you are subject to the German social security law and you were sent by your employer abroad for a limited period of time. This happens when you are delegated, transferred, or commanded abroad by your employer. And some examples are the development workers, the Non-Entwicklungshelfer, also civil servants, missionaries, and if you work for intergovernmental or supranational institutions as the European Union, UNO, or NATO. And let's continue to the second myth, which is that Elterngeld is based on your current income. Actually, Elterngeld is not based on your last paycheck, but on the average of your income in a certain period of time, also known as assessment period, or in German, the Bemessugszeitraum. For non-self-employed giving birth mothers, this period corresponds to the 12 months before the maternity leave begins. And for the other partner, this period corresponds to the 12 months before the calendar month in which your child was born. Or children. But, and there is almost always a but, some months can be excluded from this assessment period. For example, if you were on maternity leave, or if you are receiving parental allowance from an older child in its first 14 months, or if you were ill due to your pregnancy and therefore you were earning little or close to nothing. Or if you were doing some military service or community service and also because of that you were receiving little or nothing. In these cases, the calculation for the assessment period could skip these months and it will start earlier. However, and this is not that nice, if your reason for not receiving any income, it's not one of the ones that I just mentioned before, then the amount of income that will be used for the calculation of the assessment period for that specific month or months, it's 0. That means that it will put down the average of income that you received during the 12 months of the assessment period and thus reduce your Elternzeit Elterngeld, parental allowance. For self-employed, this is a little bit different, and the assessment period corresponds to the period for which you filed your last tax return, which is usually the last year's calendar. And this could also be postponed if you were, for example, ill due to your pregnancy, or if you are receiving parental allowance for an older child in its first 14 months, or if you are on maternity leave. But you have to apply for this postponement Verschiebung when you apply for your Elterngeld. And if this continues to fall into a time where you are receiving less income because of one of the reasons I mentioned before, then this could be postponed again and again until you find the best option for you. If you have a mixed income from non-self-employment and self-employment, then you go by the self-employment rule. Even if you were receiving less during that period of time, or if you receive much more from your non-self-employment as from the self-employment, then you go always from the self-employment period. The non-self-employment rule could work for you if you're receiving nothing during the non-self-employment period, which is the 12 months before the maternity leave starts for birth-giving mothers and the 12 months before the month when your child was born for the other partner. And now, the last and my favorite myth about Elterngeld or parental allowance in Germany is that Elterngeld is 12 months for moms and 2 months for dads. And most people still think that Elterngeld is 12 months for mothers and 2 months for dads. This doesn't have to be like that. There are 3 different types or modalities of Elterngeld in Germany, and you can even combine them. And it is not limited to one or the other partner. So the amount of possibilities is huge. To resume that to 12 months for one partner and 2 to the other is really diminishing the possibilities and also the complexity of Elterngeld in Germany. And now, just as a little side tip, try to understand what is the best for you and your family. And please do not assume that the giving birth mother is the primary caregiver for the family, because that doesn't have to be like that. If that works for other families, great. If that works for you, also great, but it doesn't have to be like that. And just think about all the options that you have. And if you would like to know more about the other types of Elterngeld or modalities or variations, please check this video here. I will leave it also on the cards. Just for fun, I went to Dstatis. That is a website that shows data and statistics from Germany. And I checked there data related to the Elterngeld and how much people are getting it and which types. It is not surprising that the majority is taking Basis Elterngeld. But more people over the last years are combining basic parental allowance, the Basis Elterngeld, and Elterngeld Plus, the parental allowance plus. The number of parents opting for a Partnerschaftsbonus has stayed more or less the same, except for the last year that raised almost 1%, which is not that much anyways. And now, what I think is also really interesting is this table here, also from the same website, Dstatis. And of course, I will leave all the links and relevant information on the description of this video down below, so don't forget to check it out. But on this table, you can see on average how many months parents are taking Elterngeld. And as you can see, women are taking more than men. And if we combine these 2 types of modalities, this Basis Elterngeld with Elterngeld Plus, then both are taking more. But for men, this is really relevant because they are taking more than the double that they take usually when they take just Basis Elterngeld. And these numbers didn't change a lot since 2016. These are my top 3 myths of Elterngeld in Germany, and I hope now you have a better understanding on how everything works, but there is much more to understand, much more also to decide. So if you want to know more about Elterngeld, Elternzeit, Mutterschafts, maternity pay in Germany, don't forget to check my latest videos and also my next videos. Also, I have all this information that I just talked about on a written format on my website, so don't forget to check it on the description of this video down below. If you have further questions and you think that I might help you or just give you a hint on where to search for trustful information, please leave a comment on the video. I hope you liked this video. It was a lot of fun to do. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and also to hit that subscribe button, and feel free to connect with me in social media, and see you on the next video. Bye! Ciao.